What's up, guys? I'm BTC. There has been a new patch to Overwatch. This is for March 1st, 2016. I haven't read through the patch notes yet, so this is going to be a first impressions and a feedback. I'll try to tell you everything you need to know about all the changes to Overwatch that just happened in this patch. All right, so first thing is in the general gameplay, the speed at which a payload moves has been increased for when one player is escorting and when two players are escorting. Max speed when 3+ players are escorting remains unchanged. So this is a slight buff to attacking teams. Basically, you can now get away with having less people on the cart and sending out the other members of your team to secure more forward positions. So it's a slight buff to attacking teams. I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to make it so that the win-loss rate for attack-defend is basically 50-50. And I believe they released some data recently that said that, I think it was attackers that had, basically somewhere around the 40-45%, sometimes up to 50% win rate. So I think they're just trying to buff it up to that 50-50 mark. So I don't really see any problem with this. This looks like a good change to me. All right, so loot boxes, this is all going to be cosmetic stuff. So all sprays and voice lines are now considered common, so everybody should have lots and lots of sprays and voice lines. All player icons and victory poses are now considered rare, excluding default icons and poses. Okay, so I think I know where they're going with this. All right, rare and epic quantities of credits will now appear more frequently in loot boxes, and legendary quantities of credits will now appear less frequently in loot boxes. All right, so if you get a legendary, there's a good chance that you're going to get a skin instead of credits now, and the voice lines and the sprays, everybody should have pretty much all of them all the time. And then the cool stuff, like the skins and they whatever else, the play the game things are going to be more rare, kind of. So they're going to be the higher ones. But I guess they want everybody to have access to the sprays and everybody to have access to the voice lines. It's probably to have a little bit more variety, because when everybody has the same voice lines and everybody has the same basic sprays, it's not really that interesting. So I think that's what they're going with. I mean, it's all cosmetic and it really doesn't matter in balance, but, whatever. Maybe it just makes the game more fun. All right, so matchmaking. Several behind-the-scenes improvements have been made to the in-game matchmaker, especially for groups and players at higher skill levels. Players from Australia, South America, and Southeast Asia will no longer experience especially long queue times. All right, well, that's good for those people, I guess. Behind-the-scenes have been made to the in-game, especially for groups higher. All right, well, hopefully this just means overall less time skirmishing and looking for players, I guess. All right, good change. I mean, I don't know exactly what they did, but hopefully it's good. Hit social wheel. Remove the cooldown for voice lines. Oh, that's sake. All right. And, of course, don't forget the best voice line, Junkrat's bring, because spamming that never gets old. Added a short global cooldown when using any option in the communications wheel. Frequently spamming any option in the communications wheel within a short period of time will now lock you out for a few seconds. Hi there. Hiya. I think this is good. I mean, the thing is I understand why you don't want to spam stuff, because it's annoying to other players. What I liked in the previous version was, I could spam the hell out of a voice line, but only I would hear it. So, it was funny for me and, my stream. I could spam Junkrat's bring, and it was funny for me, but my teammates and the enemies weren't bothered by it because they couldn't hear it. So, I think as long as I can hear it, and I think if my party can hear it as well, because if you're in a group with people, then they're, they don't really get that protection, like the voice line. So I understand like random people in the game, you don't want to spam them, but you yourself should be able to hear it every time you hit it, and your group, your party should be able to hear it every time you hit it. So, I mean, if they're in a group with you, then they're basically accepting the terms and services of of your voice line spammage. So, and whatever. It's a quality of life buff, I think. All right, so hero balance changes. This is the stuff that actually matters here. So we're starting up, we're experimenting with some pretty significant balance changes this patch. Because this is beta, these changes are a little more aggressive than what you can expect to see once the game is live. But it's the perfect environment for us to try things out. Please continue to share your feedback with us, and remember that everything in the closed beta is still subject to change, i.e., we made some huge changes that are going to piss off a lot of people, so instead of whining about it, just give us actual feedback. Gotcha. All right. Bastion. Aim restrictions have been removed when transforming. I don't play Bastion too much, but I'm guessing this means that you can continue to move your cursor, your crosshair around while you're shifting. So basically, while you're transforming, you can target acquire something, and the moment you're done transforming, you can start shooting. So that's basically what that means. I'm pretty certain that's what that means. So configuration sentry. So that's a good little buff. I mean, it should have been like that to begin with. Configuration sentry. Damaging Bastion's core when in sentry mode will now cause double damage, decreased from triple damage. Developer comments. With the changes we made to Bastion's overall survivability in sentry mode in our last beta patch, we felt that the core is no longer needed to be so vulnerable. We also wanted to continue supporting Bastion's run and gun playstyle, so we removed all aiming restrictions when transforming. Okay. Alright, so here's the thing on this. The aim restriction thing, that's a good buff. Okay? The sentry, the core doing double damage, will not change anything. That's completely irrelevant. The damaging Bastion's core when in sentry mode now causes double damage, decreased from triple damage, does nothing. Doesn't change anything. Why? Because barrier shield on Bastion is gone, which means the best way to take him out is the same way that you take out Torbjorn's turrets. Before, you couldn't do that because Bastion had a barrier. But now, all you have to do is take cover behind a wall, you peek out, you fire a couple grenades, rockets, bullets, whatever you have, shurikens, whatever you have, you do a little bit of damage, and then you hide behind the wall. Then you peek out, and you do it again. And you hide, and you peek, and you shoot. And you just keep doing that until Bastion either dies, or he has to switch to recon mode and then hide behind a wall himself. So in either case, Bastion is no longer there to shoot at you. So getting behind him and damaging the core, you don't need to do that anymore. So that's a worthless change. It doesn't change anything. It doesn't change anything. That's pointless. And as far as the run and gun thing goes, okay, as far as the run and gun goes, if they want him to really run and gun, what they need to do is they need to get rid of the self-heal in recon mode. You can keep the self-heal ability in sentry mode, okay? But in recon mode, give him something that complements run and gun. It could be anything. It could be like an overcharge that gives him a little bit of movement speed, or maybe firing speed, or maybe does a little bit more damage. I'm talking like a 3-second buff or something here, like it's really, really small buff. You can't make him too good run and gun. But give him an ability that will complement run and gun, because the self-heal in recon mode is garbage. I mean, you could even give him like a single target kind of stun, like a taser, sort of like what Roadhog does, except rather than pulling the target towards you, it would just stun them for like a second or something like that, or a second and a half, 2 seconds. Maybe that would be a little too long. But give him a different ability than the self-heal when in recon mode, because it doesn't complement the run and gun style. Anyways, all right, so next. All right, Genji. Health decreased from 200 to 150. Genji is a fast character with a smaller character model, making him overly difficult to kill. To help address this, we're lowering Genji's health. This is just an experiment, and we want to see how he feels to play and play against after this change. Be sure to share your feedback. Okay, my feedback, this is a bad change. Genji is not that difficult to kill. I play mostly Soldier and Junkrat, two characters that Genji can deal with fairly easily, okay? So the characters that I play have a difficult time dealing with Genji, and I can still kill the Genjis. So it's not that to me is a huge over nerf. I don't that just doesn't seem necessary to me. His health seems perfectly fine, both when I play as Genji and when I play against Genji. His health seems fine. Basically, what this change is going to do is going to make it so that Genji can't get in, do damage, and get out. So a lot of times with Genji, you'll get into the fight, you'll do a little bit of damage, maybe you'll get a quick kill on somebody, and then you get the hell out of there. And usually when you do that, you're almost dead. Now what it's going to do is it's not going to let you do that. You'll get in, maybe you'll get a kill, maybe you'll do some damage, but you're probably going to die. So this just seems an unnecessary over nerf on Genji. All right, Lucio, same thing. Health decreased from 200 to 150. Developer, similar to Genji, Lucio is a small... Why do they care about this? The size of the character really isn't that big of a deal. Like, it's really not that big of an issue. Like, I understand a character like Reinhardt is bigger than Lucio, but that's not an issue. Like, okay, whatever. Bastion has a lot of mobility options. We lowered his health slightly compatible with feedback. Okay, so here's the problem with this. All right, Lucio is a front-line healer. He needs to be in the thick of things. Like, you can't hang back like Zenyatta. Zenyatta can play way in the backfield because of his Harmony Orb, right? He can be really far away and still heal people and discord people. Mercy can be further back than the front line. She can't be like all the way back like Zenyatta can, but she can still hide behind, other stuff. Lucio needs line of sight. He needs to be kind of out there. He needs to be in the thick of it. And he's gonna get destroyed now. Like, this nerf is going to make Lucio really bad. Like, he's gonna die so fast now. He's not gonna be able to do what he needs to do in order to support. Like, so Lucio is probably the best healer in the game at this point. Because of the nerf to Mercy, Lucio probably took the crown of best healer in the game. Don't get me wrong, Mercy's still great, but Lucio probably took over that best support in the game role. And this is going to make him like, okay, so maybe he needs a nerf, maybe he needs a slight nerf, but this is not the way to do it, because this basically prevents him from playing the way he needs to be played. So this is bad. Both of these are bad. These are really bad. This is kind of bad for Genji. This is really bad for Lucio. All right, so Junkrat. All right, one of my favorite characters here. So Riptire, health increased to 150. If the tire is destroyed, it no longer detonates. Significantly decreased damage fall off within Riptire's detonation radius. Junkrat is the ability to dish out a ton of damage, but Riptire is the current state feels a little weak. So why did they nerf it? On the flip side, trying to destroy his Riptire can sometimes feel a little hopeless once it gets too close to you. With these changes, we hope the player will feel more empowered to take out Junkrat's Riptire before it explodes. However, to compensate, the explosion itself is much stronger. Overall, using Riptire should feel more effective, and countering Riptire feels more realistic. So here's the problem. The Riptire itself is destroyed more often than not. So I understand what they're doing here. They're like, okay, we're going to make it harder to kill the tire. by a little bit. That's not really much, okay? The tire is still going to die a lot. And significantly decrease the damage fall off. So basically, when the tire does detonate, if you're near it, you're going to take a lot of damage. If the tire don't detonate. But here's the problem. The tire gets destroyed most of the time. And even with this health change, it's still going to be destroyed most of the time. I mean, the thing is when you hear Junkrat fire up his ult, everybody knows where it is. And everybody knows where it's coming from because you just hear the tire. You hear it from a mile away. So you know where it is. You know where it's coming from. And there's only so many entry points. So it's super easy to destroy the tire. It's super, super, super easy. I think this, in their attempt to actually buff it, I think this is going to actually end up nerfing it. Because I think what's going to happen now is you're going to have the rare rip tire where when you use it, you drop it into the middle of a group and it does huge damage to everybody and it's like play the game and that's great. But most of the time when he uses his rip tire, it's going to get destroyed and it's going to do nothing. So, I think this is actually going to end up being a nerf. Like an unintended nerf to Junkrat. And I play a lot of Junkrat. Like, all the time Junkrat. So, this... Yeah. The tires are going to get destroyed all the time. Still. And basically, like... You're going to save up your ult just to have your tire get destroyed. It's going to be really, really... demoralizing for Junkrat players. Alright, so Mei, Endothermic Blaster primary fire now has a minimum slow effect that's applied instantly. The total time to freeze the target remains unchanged. Oh god. Alright, so they buffed Mei. Now has a minimum slow effect that applies instantly. So the second you hit somebody with this, like, anybody who's close range to her, like, you used to be able to do a little bit of damage and then get away. Now you basically have to get away instantly. Like you have the moment you're in her range, you need to back off. Like you can't stay in. Blizzard effective radius can no longer be blocked by barriers or payloads. Okay, so that just kind of makes sense, but alright. Mei is intended to be a good pick against the faster, more agile heroes in the game. However, the way her primary fire worked, they'd frequently be in situations where she'd hit an enemy target briefly, but not long enough to slow them down, fall up, or kick back, and they would out of range or out of sight. Boosting her primary fire's initial slow effect should help her keep up with the enemy targets more successfully. Additionally, Mei's ultimate now ignores barriers like Winston's barrier and Reinhardt's barrier field, which gives it a little more power and allows for more options when trying to counter heavy use of shields, abilities in general. Alright, so Mei is basically being set up as an anti-tank. And just like as a ridiculously solid defender. She's actually going to be kind of like a tank substitute, sort of. If she's able to... she can use her ability to shield herself and regain health to delay capture on a point, or delay a payload or anything like that, contest it. And now she can basically kill anybody that gets within her range. Like, anybody that comes even close is going to be dead to her. Because they're going to start to get slowed, and then she'll just be able to continue freezing them and then just finish them off. So there's going to be like a no-go zone around Mei now. There's going to be like a circle radius around Mei where you just don't enter that, because if you enter it, you're dead, pretty much. For any offensive character. Like, if you get inside that no zone, then Mei's going to kill you. It's pretty much how it's going to be. I think the buff to the Blizzard is smart. That's a good one, because it's going to prevent excessive use of the shielding. The buff to the primary fire is not good. It's not good. All right, Mercy. Guardian Angel can once again target the souls of dead allies. Players really enjoyed being able to use Guardian Angel on dead allies and felt it allowed for more clutch plays and interesting movement options during combat. As a result, we're reverting the change from a previous patch that allows Mercy to target and travel to dead allies using Guardian Angel. Okay, this is dumb. This is dumb. They keep changing this. What they need to do is they need to change the Guardian Angel from being a targeted ability to a non-targeted ability. Make it so that Mercy can simply fly forward. Whenever you press the button, she can just fly in whatever direction she's facing. And if you're locked onto somebody, then you can dash towards that person specifically. But it shouldn't need to be targeted on dead allies in order to move around the map. That's just dumb. Make it so that, you can still target people, but if there's no target there, you can simply dash forward. That was one of the things that frustrated me the most with playing Mercy, is the fact that you just can't dash. You can't kind of escape or move towards your team unless somebody's already over there. All right, Winston, barrier projection. Shield health decreased from 1,000 to 600. Cooldown now activates after the barrier expires. Even though it's always been possible to destroy Winston's barrier projection, it's often felt impossible to do so in a normal situation unless you used your ultimate. This resulted in many players just waiting for the barrier to expire instead of attacking it. With this change, it's now more realistic for players to counter Winston's barrier through normal damage. Alright. I never had a problem really destroying the barrier. I guess... So, cooldown now expire after the barrier expires. Alright, so it now takes longer in between uses of the barrier. So after you use it, the cooldown doesn't start. It waits until after it's done. So in between barriers is going to be a longer time frame. So that's one nerf. The second nerf is the huge decrease in damage. So here's the thing. Winston probably didn't need a nerf to begin with. If you're going to do this, this is a double nerf. So one of these would have been fine, maybe. Both of them is probably way overkill. So either you make it so that it takes longer, or you make it so that it destroys faster. I think getting this should be gone. The bottom one. That should be gone. And for the shield health, decrease it to like 700 or 800. 600 is just too low. All right, Zarya, projected barrier duration decreased from 4 seconds to 2 seconds. Zarya's projected barrier lasted much longer than her particle barrier, which made it difficult for enemies to deal with. If a player wanted to avoid dealing damage to the barrier, they'd have to wait a full 4 seconds, which felt like an unreasonable amount of time in the thick of combat. This change makes Zarya's particle barrier and projected barrier the same duration. Okay. Yeah, it did feel like it was a little long. It did feel like it was a little bit on the long side. I think that's a good change. Yeah. I think that's fine. Zenyatta, players will now receive a notification whenever Orb of Harmony or Orb of Destruction are returned from a dead target. Okay, this is just quality of life. This was a player suggestion and made a lot of sense to us. The notification will give you more aware of the status of effect, or is it Discord? That will turn the street deployed. Okay, so this is just quality of life. That just makes sense. So it's not a buff or a nerf, it's just a quality of life, and it's a good one. Alright, so last thing, fix the crash that could occur when getting a play of the game on a control point. Fix several crashes that could occur when logging into an out-of-game client. Fix an issue when Torbjorn's turret-oriented whenever it was out of sight. Fix an issue with lighting on several... Okay, so no one cares about that. That's all junk. Alright. They definitely weren't kidding when they said they made more aggressive changes. A lot of these are not good though. A lot of these, yeah, like this destroys Lucio. This destroys Lucio. This makes Genji a lot worse. I mean, people are already playing a lot of Reaper, so this basically made it so that people are going to be playing more Reaper. Like, they were already picking Reaper-heavy lineups, and now, there's like even more reason to go Reaper instead of Genji. The Junkrat tire is actually going to be worse. Like, it's actually a nerf, and they don't even realize it. May, the ult is a good change. Basically, it makes it so that any offensive character can't get even close to her now, or you're gonna die. Winston was over nerfed. Yeah. Wow. So there's a lot of bad changes in this one. All right. Well, anyways, hopefully, remember, it's just beta. It is just beta, and everything can and will change at some point. So hopefully they revert some of this stuff. Hopefully they make some of the proper changes, and of course they still haven't dealt with Symmetra. They really need to re-examine that character, because it just doesn't really work that well in its current incarnation. But that is going to be it for this one. Hope you enjoyed the video. There's lots more Overwatch on my channel. We got some gameplay highlights, loot box openings, all that good stuff. Again, thank you for watching. Remember, always blame the controller, because it's never your fault.